Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more of the Maxi Toys videos. Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker for the Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo Switch, and of course, Nintendo 3DS. So last time we actually only did manage to accomplish, I'm presuming level 12 all the way up to level 18. See, Fernando, that as far as a result of this kinds of stuff, we've only done 7 levels as a result, because you know how the fact that the majority of the levels can go a little bit longer, especially noticeable that we have to constantly replay those levels over and over again, just because of the mission objectives and some gems that we need to collect. So I digress. So today for this episode, folks, is the fact that we're going to be moving on to level 19 and possibly onwards, but I really can't guarantee to able to finish up the entirety of the episode 3. But even then, we'll find out sooner or later. But for now, let's move on to level 19. This is known as Retro Wrap Up, or in this case, Retro Ramp Up. And as you can tell, this almost inspired by the forms of the arcade game, by the forms of Donkey Kong. Except the notable difference is, though, is the fact that you can actually go from foreground or the actual backsides. Even then, because of how the actual Captain Toad Treasure Tracker existence is the fact that we can actually explore those places. Because even then again, you don't have to worry about the time limit, unlike the ones in Super Mario 3D World. But that is how I think it is, as far as I'm usually concerned with this is. So, anyways though, I'm assuming that the mission objective in this level, as you can tell right there, we need to smash every single block. This means breakable brown blocks, as you can see by my Nintendo Switch pointer, in addition to those hard solid grey blocks as well. See, Fernando, that's I'm assuming that the hard solid grey blocks also counts to destroy. So if that's the point, then that's how it should be expected to how this one goes out, even for the forms of the mission structure itself. So even then, yeah, that's always usually how this goes, eh? So today was actually forms of the 29th of July in 2018, so we've only got ourselves about, like, let's just say 3 more days to go until the forms of the August month. So Fernando, that seriously, time goes really fast and quick. Even especially noticeable that we done some of these other Let's Plays in general, like the forms of how the fact that thanks to Kirby Marathon that we're still currently doing, and right now that we're going to be moving on to Kirby's Epic Yarn, eventually until when we get to, like, you know, September, not next month, because, well, you guys should probably already know. So anyways though, yeah, in order to actually get to that specific third and final gem, especially noticeable when we're trying to destroy those silver hard solid blocks, is that we need to go up there. Thankfully though, we don't have to blow with the mic, because again, Nintendo Switch console does not support microphone, unlike the Wii U, and especially noticeable with the forms of the Nintendo 3DS variations. So even then though, that on the Switch version, that, you know, it has no variety on microphone usage and stuff like that for that nature. So yeah, apparently though, that spike enemy can be acted out very similar to Donkey Kong, obviously, because even then, Retro Ramp Up does remind me of the Donkey Kong arcade level. Like, for instance, level 1, which consists of 25M, is that we need to make our way all the way up to the top and rescue the Power Star by the evil clutches of Spike, or in this case the equivalent to Donkey Kong. So, Twisty Turny Planet, level 20. Seriously, we've gone to 20 levels in the forms of episode 3 so far. Which I know because of how the fact that episode 3 is considerably the longest episode of the bunch. That's only because of how the fact that expecting that the adventure was supposed to be ended, but it turns out it wasn't. So even though that makes it a little bit more suggestions there. So anyways though, the bonus objective on this level is just simply we need to find a golden mushroom. See, even though that once again, we need to find the golden mushroom somewhere in the level, and then if you found one, then you pretty much, well, obtained it for good. So, anyways though, it's not that too big of a level actually. I mean, sure, you can get to, like, the basic mechanic about this level, as you can see there, is the fact that we need to keep on using those little rotation platforms, platforms, as you can see there, just because of how the fact that if you want to see the actual what's inside in those goodies, or even in this case what's in those goodies, or essentially gems and stuff like that, you need to constantly roll these platforms going. So just in case you were able to find secrets like the forms of the golden mushroom, as I showed to you earlier. And especially noticeable that if we go down there onto that specific side, most likely, then you were able to find not only coins but also the third and final gems. So even then though, that everything else will be good to go, right? Well, turns out that the whole entire purpose of the forms of the actual the level itself is the fact that we need to able to line up those blue platforms all in a straight line, because even then though, if you manage to do this right, then you would able to actually just about to lead you to the power star itself. So even then though, if that's the point, then that's you might expect it. And I've almost gonna die right there just because that little notch platform over there almost attempts to make me fall off. But it doesn't matter, because even then though, we've almost nearly towards the end, obviously, even though that sometimes my footing can get a little bit too cryptic in my liking, but even then that we pretty much sort things out, because even then as you can clearly hear that if you heard the jingle, this means you've actually pretty much sorted by the forms of those platforms as being lined up. Now we've done with that, and now let's go ahead and traverse for that blue platform, or the blue pipe I should say, sorry. And that way we should able to lead to the power star itself. So yeah, not bad. Not bad for that level at all. It's not that complicated either. But that doesn't even compare to the likes of level 21 though, on the other hand though, because oh my goodness, what can I describe about this level? Ghost Gallery Gambit. And in order to actually unlock this level we need to require 130 gems, which thankfully we still got enough. So let's get into this, shall we? The thing is about this level, though, as you can tell, the fact that you might be thinking that oh, this level wasn't going to be that hard, because as you can see, there's nothing here on site. But if you get closer to it, then this happens. Basically, we need to go climb all the way up to the top in order to actually obtain a power star, while simply running away by the forms of this toxic water. So yeah, if you want to get the gems, well, good luck to you, because even then though, if you don't really know how to get them, well, the first one is very simple. It's basically you have to stand on the edge of the actual seesaw, so as you can see there, and that way you should be able to obtain the first gem. The second gem, on the other hand though, this might be confusing for first time players, but in order to do that is that you need to stand right here, and then wait until these platforms extends, and then that way this should be able to actually lead us to the second gem. And you must able to wait, because even then, if those platforms didn't come at all, then chances are you might as well able to be dead, because as a result, you know the poisonous water is always an instant death, just like the lava. But even then though, that except the fact of the matter is though, what makes this level so difficult in comparison to the likes of how it does in any other levels in this game, the fact of the matter is though, because if you want to get this gem so badly, including the third and final one, because you need to able to actually step onto this other side, and quickly trying to adjust the actual seesaw adjustment, and then if you manage to screw things over, you need to restart the entire level again. But again, thankfully though, you can keep your gems as much as you like for good. But honestly, out of all the levels we actually been into in this game so far, this is by far the hardest, I mean the hardest levels in the entire game. Probably because of how the fact that, wow, it's going to be really tough with the level too. Because if you manage to screw it over just once, you're going to have to restart the entire level over again. Well, unless if you can't be bothered to be able to get the gems again. Well, at least as far as you've already collected some, then you know you can keep it forever. Until if you accidentally pause the game and able to actually exit out the stage, you will lose your gems instantly. So even then, I suggest you not do that. So yeah, that's the point. But even then, though, yeah. And also, what makes this level kind of tricky though is the fact that you can't really take your time either, because you know, as far as the actual poison water is concerned, that because you know it's an instant death. And also, what's kind of a little bit nitpicky, I will admit though right away, is the fact that most of these platforms or obstacles, as you can see right there, they always ended up quite narrow, admittedly sometimes. But anyways, let's try and get that gem again. Okay, good. Okay. Ah, that stupid boo. Ah, fine. third time's a charm then. Because yeah, the reason why you can't really take your time either is the fact that not only does the poison water will start to rise, but also you can't really take your time just trying to able to actually be precise with yourself, just because of that boo you need to worry about. Unless if you're actually trying to able to disarm them, to able to actually just to shine them onto their boos themselves, to able to actually make them killed, which I understand that solution, but if you want to able to get these collectibles, mainly gems and all that stuff, you're probably not gonna collect all 3 of those gems all in one go, because even then though, that unless if you actually keep them forever, every time you die in a level, then you would able to actually just move along and then just keep on going forward. But as long as you're able to know the pro experts like I do, then you would able to actually finish the level within a first attempt, unless if you must to. But even then, that's how most of these moments where it gets really tough, especially when you're trying to do this level with a first attempt or two. That's the point, but even then, oh yeah. Okay, so as far as this bonus objective goes, sorry for a little bit of attentions there, I'm assuming that once again, we need to find the golden mushroom, and I believe it's actually at the very end of a level, which not only the very end of a level, but also we need to come across into those whole bunch of boos trying to go after you, like not only normal ones, but also the bigger variations as well. So, yeah, but again, I suggest you're able to shine on their faces over, so just in case, if not only to actually just to distract them, but also because of how the fact that you would able to instantly kill them in a certain amount of ease. So, anyways though, let's go ahead and just demolish the big boo over there, and grab the quick golden mushroom very quickly and fast, in case if you don't want to get killed by the poison water again. So, I will still consider this to be one of the hardest levels in the entire game, just because of how the fact that, well again, if you screwed up at least once, you have to redo the entire level again. But again, it doesn't matter for these gems, but as far as the missions goes, you do need to redo that particular mission again. So, anyways though, level 22, Touchstone Turmoil, which I'm assuming we're going back into Toadette's perspective. This level is very similar to like how it does it in level 3 in episode 1, except a noticeable difference is though, is the fact that we actually ended up in the, well, the first difference is pretty obvious because we're actually going to be playing as Toadette this time around though, instead of Toad, or in this case Captain Toad if you will. And then second of all is the fact that we actually come across into those 2 different color variations of those shifting blocks, you know, touching blocks mechanic. That if you manage to tap the blue blocks, this means you actually go up and down. And then the yellow blocks can actually shift from, well, horizontal positions. So even then, like left or right, and you know the drill. I guess it might actually do the exact same way for how it does it in level 3 back in episode 1. By the forms of the pink ones can actually go from horizontal, and then the blue ones can once again just activate as horizontal movements. So, yeah, nothing too different about it, but even then though, it feels exactly the same, except it's a lot more bigger than the likes of how it does it back in episode 1 even. So, anyways though, let's go ahead and do the double cherry section on this particular bonus even more coins glory game, and then we should be able to get even more 1-ups as a result, because even then though, right now we reached over 50 1-ups. As far as I'm aware for that, mainly 53 right about now. But even then though, that as far as I'm aware, because originally back in during a couple of parts ago, originally I did say about the fact that you don't get nearly as many 1-ups as far as the beginnings goes, but when you get to the very end of a game, most notably because of thanks to Mummy Me's returns, or in this case Mummy Me May's returns, and especially noticeable with the forms of even more coins glory, you can get a grand spammingly tons of 1-ups there. So even then though, if you want to get your journey comfortable experience altogether, then just be sure you would able to actually just get as many 1-ups as possible right from the start. So anyway. And as you can tell right there, the mission objective in this level is by the fact that we need to able to only touch these particular, any kind of blocks, or these platforms rather, for about 6 times, but if you do it over 6, then you pretty much failed this mission entirely. So unless if you're about to be like pausing the game and just exit out the stage again. So even I know that, you know, just want to get suggestions. And once again, all this matters because even I know that I did done the mission objective for the first time. And then the second time, I'm actually going to be collecting gems, if you can see on this particular, well, footage, as you can tell there. So, anyway. And I just got hurt right there, but that's fine. But even then, as long as I just managed to get the invincibility frames, sorry for a little bit of intentions again. And what I found is kind of odd is the fact that I don't usually bypass those enemies sometimes. But even then, that's only because of how the fact that, well, I don't know about that description there. So, level 23, Color Crates Carousel. I think this level can be tricky sometimes if you're first time playing this level. I'm not gonna lie for saying that. But even then though, the basic premise of this, or this main gimmick about this level, is the fact that this particular carousel platform is constantly rotating. So even then, if you want to get to one platform to another, you must wait until whenever the thing starts to rotate. And then, yeah, that's all I can really say about this. So, for the most part though, I believe the bonus objective, sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting in the end folks, you need to get yourselves a golden mushroom, which as you can see from up there. But in order to actually get to that, however though, we need to do a little bit of a puzzle heavy of any sorts, just so that how to able to figure out how we're supposed to get to that golden mushroom. Well, as long as I can able to get out of this center part, and then just get back into this red rotating section there. And hopefully we'll land onto that blue platform right there, as you can see there. And as soon as we carefully walk around for that specific section here, and then grab the golden mushroom, and booyah, there you go. And now we need to grab the power star before we leave the level. So let's see if we can just... Oh, what? I think my depth perception's gone pretty terrible. I mean... It's nothing too terrible, it's just my fault. I think that's what I was going to be saying that, right? So, let's try this again. And thankfully, though, we don't have to worry about collecting these gems again because, well, you know, as far as I mentioned to you before, you can pretty much keep it forever. So even then, though, that, yeah, that's what I can really think about. So, let's try this again. And, yeah, because of that, though, if you accidentally died, if you want to do the mission structure and stuff like that, or the mission objectives, well, you're gonna have to do that all over again, just in case if you want to don't get any simple mistakes here again. So, that's just how I think it is. I think the best strategy I can think of is the fact that I suggest you get onto this blue platform, because that way, you would able to reach it from here. So even then, that's the only mistake I actually come across from the first attempt. Because presuming next time I pretty much don't trust in the red one, so yeah, that's kind of my fault. Okay then, so that does it for that level. Now let's move on to the next. Level 24, in order to actually unlock this level, is by simply we need to collect about 140 gems. Trick Track Hole, which I could assume this is actually based off from the China themed, or Chinese themed, because as you can see from the actual structure of this particular the level itself, then we could potentially try to see how this will turn out to be, somewhat similar to the likes of Super Mario 3D World, as a matter of fact. So anyways though, let's go ahead and just do as was told, and let's go ahead and just tap this here in case if, yeah, this thing is now smashed, because as you can tell, the main gimmick about this level though is the fact that we need to utilize the touch-based platforms, if you can tell from that part, and then basically we need to able to use these spikes to actually toss these spike balls right at this particular opening obstacle, because even then though, that can destroy the actual Chinese obstacle object. So yeah, and basically we got a key here because of the second gem. So yeah, if I was usually mistaken for all this correctly, the fact that the reason why my pointer has actually acted out very, very strangely recently. Now, this you might be thinking how the fact that there was actually a way that you can able to actually calibrate the pointing mechanic in the Switch version. Well, truth be told, there was actually one solution I actually just managed to come across. Is the fact that, you know how the fact that on the Wii U version and the 3DS version of the game, manage to retain the start button, you're able to actually just pause the game. The Switch version actually replaces the pause button for the Switch version into the minus button by the forms of the pause menu. But even then though, that I think the plus button might be something to do with the pointer calibration, which even then though, that might be a little bit more of a common sense. Because even then though, that unlike the Wii U version that you have to utilize the gamepad for this entire time, but the fact that there's no way you can actually use the Wii Remote on that specific version of the game. So if that's the point, then oh shoot. That was a bit too late for my part there, but oh well. We've reached at the very end, but before we hit to the actual power star, we grab the golden mushroom very quickly and fast in case if I don't die for that spike ball. And there we go, that concludes level 24. And basically the objective in this level is to simply we need to find the hidden golden mushroom. So again, another golden mushroom finding syndrome. So anyways, I think that pretty much does it for Toadette's segments. And now we'll get back into Captain Toad's segments in level 25. Deep Space Gyro Magjar. Which even then, if you remember from one of those Captain Toad levels in Super Mario 3D World, specifically World Star most likely. If you remember the level from the forms of in that, well, granted because I haven't been onto Super Mario 3D World for quite some time, ever since for about almost a year ago now. The basic mechanic about this level, as you can see, is the fact that we constantly need to press those P switches in case if you want to shift to the different parts of the level. So even then though, that you know, it's kind of like the exact same ways of how it does it in the forms of one of those levels in Super Mario 3D World's Captain Toad levels, except it's a little bit more trickier due to how the fact that we actually now come across into these narrow paths, as you can see there. In addition to that though, we also managed to stumble across these forms of these enemies themselves, like the forms of the Kong doors, and especially noticeable with the forms of those bullet bills themselves. And I don't really think they actually could include the electrical enemies, unlike the forms of, well, to be more specifically, Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Super Mario 3D World, but that's just how it is. I'm considering that for this particular mission objective in this level is the fact that, I'm considering that we need to able to can't afford to get hit, so I believe this might actually be the final time we're going to be doing the, do not take any damage missions and stuff like that, which I'm really grateful because until we get to the next level, it's going to be most likely going to be collecting, or in this case, well, just hunting for coins farming. See, Fernando, that maybe seems the case though. See, Fernando, let's go ahead and finish the main level. And yeah, that's what I can really think about. So yeah. Not that bad of a level, but even then though, you have to, you do need to able to concentrate with the forms of the actual narrow paths, segments noticing. So, I think I'm actually going to be doing one more level on this particular point. See if and then let's go ahead and deal with level 26, Magma Road Marathon. So, I bet this might actually be the lava-based level. But again, without the microphone support, don't worry, the platforms will actually move just on by its own. Because unlike the Wii U version and the 3DS version, then you have to utilize the microphone you know, function, because even then, that you would able to actually be very safe when it comes to able to not getting touched by the lava. So even then, that makes it pretty obvious. And I just realized about something too. It's the fact that I'm pursuing that there might be some differences in the forms of the actual the Wii U version and the 3DS version and the Switch versions of this particular levels. That if you can tell. You know the blowing microphone platforms were usually originated in the forms of this section right there, from the front. That it was there on the Wii U and the 3DS version, but now in this version it's now been removed due to how the fact that there's no way we can actually use the microphones. And speaking of which, this particular pattern in this particular section is also different, because even then, in the 3DS and the Wii U version it's all zigzaggy, but in this one it's usually just goes straight forward. So even then though, that because again, we don't have to worry about the forms of the, you know, just keep on blowing the microphone, and that's all there is to know is that. So anyway, so I believe the mission objective in this level is that of how the fact that we need to collect about 150 coins for this matter. So even then though, that since we've got enough, then we should able to actually finish the level while simply just obtaining the power star itself, which as far as you expected, but at least we've accomplished that with no problems. So how about that? So yeah, with that being said, I guess we're just gonna have to end things off at this point right there. In fact, I just reached almost nearly towards the end. So even though that seems the case here. So anyways, yeah, join me next time while Let's Play Captain Toad Treasure Tracker for the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo 3DS, and Nintendo Wii U. Is the fact that hopefully we're gonna be finishing up with episode 3 to be able to actually tackle through the final 2 levels of the main adventure, and we should able to actually just to save the day and beat Wingo at the very end. Spoiler alert. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.